Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's show. And with us this evening, as you can see, we have a familiar face. We have Niall Fraser. Great to have you with us, Niall.
Yeah, it's going to be another fantastic evening, Richard. Looking forward to it.
We've got lots to talk about. A couple of things I just mentioned quickly before we dive in with Niall. First of all, I did my old trick again last week, that I put something in the description and then forgot to talk about it in the live stream. And the thing I forgot to talk about was transgender potatoes. I'm sure most of you tuned in last week to hear about transgender potatoes, and I forgot. And the story is that if you take a potato from Germany to Switzerland, it goes from being feminine to masculine. It changes gender as it goes over the border. Now, I'd previously been very skeptical about the idea of transgenderism, but now it's been illustrated with potatoes that all you have to do is say, just cross the national border, and it goes from being a woman potato to a man potato. And that just clinches it for me. It all became clear suddenly, the whole of transgender ideology. We've had a busy few days. We were at Perth Pride on Saturday. You might have seen some video from that. There's more video to come, which is extremely interesting. Look out for that. Just on the, we might get a chance to talk about later, but we'll maybe going to talk about things with Niall. The one thing I'd say, though, I spoke to a boy at Perth Pride who was sort of dolled up in sort of drag sort of style, and we had quite a chat. I said to you, if you're watching, I said to you, there's the most sensible chat I've had all afternoon. And you said you'd be happy to come on the live stream sometime to have a discussion. You tried to send us a message on Facebook at the time to the family party. Just to say that message hasn't got through. So if you're all watching, do email us. And we would love to arrange for you to come on to the live stream to have a chat. So hopefully you're watching that. We also went along to the abortion comedy show and brought an end to that. But we'll maybe get to that later. But let's focus on the main news. And the main news is an announcement, the announcement the world has been waiting for, to do with the Rutherglen and Hamilton West Westminster by-election. And our candidate, needless to say, is none other than Niall Fraser.
Yes.
So we're delighted to have selected Niall for this job. Niall lives in the constituency. And yeah, so what's in store?
Well, what's in store? So it's been quite a stressful few weeks as we're sort of gearing up towards the election. But basically, I've got a few priorities that I want to outline. And basically, I want to give the constituency, Rutherglen and Hamilton West, something that's not really been offered before, or something it's not on offer by the sort of political mainstream parties, not in the slightest. So, I mean, first of all, I want to take this by-election to sort of narrow in and defeat one singular lie in this by-election, which we can do if elected. So we'll try to, if you think about this general election, the by-election, it's not a general, it's a gender election. So I want to narrow in and defeat this insidious gender lie first and foremost. First, we can beat it here, one in a sort of microcosm of Rutherglen and Hamilton West, and then spread it across Scotland and virtually eradicate it. And of course, it would have ripples across the West as well. So, I mean, it's not just Scotland that's facing this gender issues, as what they do, but it's the whole of the West. So if we can defeat it here in Scotland, then it will have implications on the wider world. And then we want to have an education overhaul, or at least we need a deep look at education. We need to be talking about it quite a very high up on our list of priorities, basically. So I want to take the LGBT curriculum out of the schools. I don't think it belongs anywhere in the schools. I've tried to sort of say that I'll go into every primary school, high school, nursery in Rutherglen and Hamilton West and strip out the rainbows. But I think that's not really resonating enough. People don't know what I mean by taking the rainbows at the school. People maybe like yourself, Richard, understand exactly what I mean by that sentiment. But the people on the ground, that's not really reaching through and sort of resonating with them. So what I'm saying is that we're taking not the rainbows as an attachment to the LGBT stuff is just, we need to eradicate that for the schools, first and foremost. Then I was talking to a woman whose daughter goes to Kafkin High, which is in Rutherglen. And she's telling me about all these horrible stories about even knives and weapons being brought to school. And this is on the back of all the videos we've been watching about the bullying and stuff. You know, we've all been like subjected to watching this footage of kids being attacked in schools, and it's horrible to watch. But we need to have a really, really frank conversation about our schools and the education system. First and foremost, they should be safe. No, I mean, the presumption of safety in Scottish state schools is almost laughable at this point, right? Some parents have told me that they fear just putting their kids out the door in the morning. So we need to sort of, parents, number one, shouldn't feel like this, and more importantly, the children shouldn't feel threatened at school. So we need to have a real hard look about just how safe are Scottish schools, and try to eradicate violence in them just non-stop. There should be a zero tolerance attitude towards violence in schools. It's a place of learning. It's not a place of... Parents are telling me it's like a wee mini war zone. So I'll tell you what's going to happen, Richard. I've probably confided in this before, but the only time that our actual politicians are going to react, the only time they'll react is when a Scottish pupil is killed on camera in one of our schools, in one of these videos. And that's when they'll demand change. Yeah. And I think, no, we need to be acting way before this comes along. So I think me and the fine people in the Scottish Family Party, we can see the problems coming and we want to head them off before they even arrive. Yeah. Ultimately, I think if we're going to win this election, and that's what we're aiming for here, we're aiming for victory in this election. We're not just trying to make 5%, 10%. We want full, utter victory, folks. And if we are going to achieve this victory, we need to inspire people who didn't vote at all. The people who have given up on voting, you know, the people that say that all politicians are corrupt. I mean, how many times have you heard that, Richard? You know, that's the type of people that I want to reach. That's the people that I need to reach, actually, in order to win Rutherglen. But then for us as a party to branch out and win across Scotland, we need to be reaching right into these people's homes and giving them some belief and hope that there's someone there, you know. If we're going to take back Scotland for the corrupt, well, we need to first believe that it's possible, right? You know, and it is very possible, but belief in the ability to defeat corruption is what we will need to win this election. It's just full-on belief, and if I can ask the sort of residents of Rutherglen and Hamilton West to use me as a sort of lightning rod to channel your energy through, and I'll do the hard work of setting everything right. You know, the campaign's nothing as compared to the hard work that will be embarked upon when we do win, Richard. You know, it's just going to be you know the level of problems we've got in this country, so we need to act rapidly from day one.
Now, the thing with the education things, I mean, the situation is critical.
Yes.
In Scottish schools. Now, someone might say, "Oh, that the education's devolved. This is a Westminster election," but I'd say that's nonsense. If you're the MP, you've got a platform to be raising these issues, to be taking these concerns of parents, gathering the stories, getting them in the media, making a difference, and really, just shattering the complacency on those things. So I think as whatever level you're elected as, whatever parliament, you've got a voice, you've got a platform to influence all the other issues as well, and that can be very, very powerful. So tell us a bit about the constituency.
So the constituency itself, I mean, it's a rather sort of poverty-stricken area, you know. Rutherglen, Hamilton West, Cathkin, like Cambuslang and all that stuff. I mean, it's all, even when I stay in Burnbank, I mean, it's a class below working class. It's like a subclass almost, you know. The addiction class, maybe. I mean, you'll see all the addiction stats and everything in Scotland coming out, but this is, I live amongst the poorest in society, you know, always have, probably always will. But we need to sort of start from the ground up and help the people in the bottom, and that will eventually work its way to the top. But the way it is now, the politicians are just self-serving. They're not there to help anyone. I mean, we look at Margaret Ferrier. She's the one we're trying to replace. She's done nothing for her constituents, nothing. But I think we need to be viewing our politicians as a tad differently now. There's almost like a preconception that a politician is supposed to be corrupt. They're supposed to be taking backhanders here and there. That they're not, supposed to be self-serving. It should come with a description of politician almost at this point. The self-serving and corrupt. But we need to be taking it right back to basics. Sort of public servant. If elected, I'll be the most transparent politician in UK history. If elected, I'll guarantee that. And I'll be the most open and approachable politician there is. But it's about just getting to know your constituents on an individual basis. There's a lot of work that needs done in the constituency, though, overall. But I think it's Scotland-wide the problems, but it really is sort of exacerbated in places like Hamilton, Cambuslang and stuff like that. It definitely is. It's exacerbated.
Did Margaret Ferrier live in the constituency, do you know?
I don't know. I think she did, but I'm unsure. I can imagine she was probably splitting the time between there and London, right?
We've been talking about the Labour candidate, haven't we? The Labour Party selected a candidate, and they're hoping he's going to win. But he's never on the front line. You just get Anna Sauer and Keir Starmer talking, or Angela Rayner. The actual candidate never seems to show face, apart from a still photograph. They never seem to have him on screen at all. Well, it seems a bit odd. You'd think he'd be front and centre, wouldn't you?
He should be making himself front and centre, Richard. This is the thing. Instead of saying, Anis, please come campaign for me, please. No, Michael Shanks should be front and centre, as he should be wanting to be as well. It shouldn't be hiding behind the shadow of Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, and Anna Sarwar. Sometimes I feel like if I was to have a conversation with Michael, I might say, would you want me to phone Anis and ask you what to think? Because I mean, who's running in this election? Again, I sort of get back to this thing about the notion of machine candidates. He's more a representation of the machine than anyone else in this race, actually. Even the Tory candidate Thomas, I've got a lot of respect for Thomas because he always works in the local area, but that doesn't translate to Michael Shanks. I think now Labour's become like a sort of magnet for those politically interested sort of, maybe they're wanting to dip their whole toe in politics, see what happens. But I mean, all the hard workers like me and you, we're forced to start from the bottom. We're forced to come up from the ground, and these people just get thrusted into the limelight. With full cover of Anis Sarwar, Keir Starmer, and Angela Rayner. I mean, and as if Sir Keir Starmer is going to resonate with the people of Rutherglen, Hamilton West. It's just laughable. So I think
what's your feeling among the electorate? I mean, let's go through the parties first. I mean, SNP, they obviously won it last time. Do you feel that they're really on the back foot?
No, I think the SNP are finished in Rutherglen. I don't think they're even... we'll put it this way, I won't be attacking SNP as much as I'll be attacking Labour. SNP, I think, are already finished, basically, because they're starting with like a 14% handicap. There's 14% people that wanted Margaret Ferrier out. So we can sort of assume that handicap translates to the next SNP candidate that comes along. So I don't think the SNP are worthy of even attacking at this point. I think they're a laughing stock. I think they're a walking circus. I think
again, the thought that Humza, they might bring in the big guns. Humza Yousaf might come campaigning.
The big guns, bring it up,
please.
Please bring them up, please.
Every day,
every single day would be excellent. I mean, Humza does more damage than good at this point. Everyone knows that. And now I think this is it Katie Loudon. I think's in a rock and a hard place because she should be. She was utilising Humza just a few weeks ago. She'll probably deploy the Nicola Sturgeon, to help campaign. But I mean, these people are actually, they put a lot of people off now. I think they've got an overinflated sort of self ego where they think that just their very presence alone can the aura that they emanate somehow changes votes as they walk around. It's just I think they've got a overinflated.
Will Nicola Sturgeon really appear campaigning?
I don't see it happening now. I mean, that's. I think that's one step above using Hamza Yusuf actually at this point. Hamza Yusuf can be deployed almost anywhere, whereas Nicola Sturgeon, they might have to use her for maybe it's a large dish effort, Richard. Maybe it's the 11th hour sort of command from on high. Send Nicola in. Maybe she can get us an extra 2%. But. Like I sort of said earlier, I think they're actually dissuading people away from the SNP now. Yeah. The real target for me is Labour.
Did you feel that? What's your feel? But what's the feeling on the ground with regard to Labour? Are people warming to them, or are they a bit sceptical to?
They're not warming to Labour, as in they're getting very turned off by the SNP. If you see what I'm saying, it's the same thing. It's those people who are being turned off of the SNP that are they're lukewarm to Labour now, and it's the people that are holding their nose and saying never SNP, never again, but they're holding their nose and they'll vote Labour, whereas they're going to get the exact same situation just 5 years down the track, and it's for me the difference between SNP and Labour is so minuscule now. That you wouldn't be surprised if Anas Sarwar called for independence tomorrow. You would not be surprised in the slightest. And would he turn that way just for a few extra votes? Maybe. I mean, this is the questions that we don't know. These politicians, have they got any principles? Or
that's the Labour strategy, isn't it?
It's horrible.
The Labour strategy at the moment is to be saying not much apart from things no one could possibly disagree with.
Yeah,
they sound very cautious and middle of the road, and that's all they're doing. There's certainly nothing to inspire anyone.
Well, on the grander scale across the UK, the Labour selling point is we're not the Tories. We didn't deal with this with the lockdowns. We didn't deal with this. But then, as their opposition, they were saying we should do harder restrictions and harder this and more restrictions. So. I don't trust Labour as much as I don't trust the Tories.
So if you're within the constituency, you don't feel that there's a growing warmth for the Labour candidate.
No, it's like I said. I don't think there's anyone that goes into the voting booth in Rutherglen and Hamilton West smiling ear to ear as they're voting Labour. There's nobody like that. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in Scotland that's like that anymore. You used to you could rush to the poll booth to vote Labour in the past, but now people are like, well, they're not as bad as the SNP. Well, we don't even know.
Yeah,
we don't even know. It's been 15 years the SNP rule. So if they've learned anything off of the SNP, it's just going to be the same old sort of governing by focus groups. It's just not. It's not on. I think I'm hoping that the people in Rutherglen and Hamilton West can see what I'm trying to achieve here is that, and there's a lot of people that will say, Niall, you're splitting the unionist vote, and likewise the Greens will be accused of splitting the independence vote. Well, I'm saying, hold on a minute. There's only two candidates in this race. There's only two horses in this race. There's me and the machine. That's the two candidates. It's us versus the machine. And this is the way we need to put it across to people. And this is how we're going to inspire those who don't vote. As they know that we're up against something that's that we've never faced before. That there's something geopolitical happening to us now. We need to sort of stabilize ourselves and get ready. It's just more of the same that's coming along, whether you vote Greens, SNP, Labour or Tories, and even Lib Dems even. It's all going to be sort of very similar policies of the ULEZ thing still going to come in. These zones are going to come in, more restrictions might come in. This net zero policy will roll along and reach fruition. So all these things that we don't want will all come under almost any political colour besides us.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the Conservatives, their usual thing, whatever the issue is, they arrive at it too late, and then they're half-hearted about it. At the time when the principle's at stake, they're nowhere to be seen. But then when they realise there's a bit of opposition a bit further down the line, they'll sort of try and get on board with the wrong. They're like that with every issue. They're like that with the gender issue. I mean, when the actual core issues were being decided on this, they were nowhere to be seen. But now, because there's a few people kicking up a fuss, they'll sort of get alongside them. But they don't get to the heart of the matter. They're followers. They don't lead anything. They just try and sort of jump on the back of any bandwagon going.
And it's, I mean, for the Tories specifically, I think they take their cues from us, Richard. You know, I really do think they take their cues from us, because we'll say the stuff that actually matters. They'll water it down 80% and say it again, and pass it off as their own idea. It's sort of meek milled, like horrible, low calorie conservatism. It's really terrible what the Tories are doing. They're nowhere near conservative.
No,
I mean,
they're never going to shift public opinion. All they ever say is, "Well, we almost agree with you, but we just change it a little bit. Just slow it down a bit." They never get to the heart of it. They're never going to win an argument. They're never going to make people think, "Hang on a minute, we're going in the wrong direction here." These people are talking sense. We don't want to go in that direction. We want to go in this direction instead.
They've got an ever adjusting line in the sand. You know, the line in the sand. Well, if this is the line, if you come any closer, then we'll do X. And then as soon as they come closer, we'll just draw a new line, and then a new line, and a new line, until this totalitarian tiptoe is reached everywhere and right into your homes. So
continual retreat.
Yes.
That's their strategy. I mean, they occasionally put up a bit of a fight, but basically the plan is always to be retreating. You never try and turn back and take any ground back.
No.
Just constant retreat. So then we've got the Greens. Well, Greens and Lib Dems, let's put them together. I mean, they're two they're pretty similar to each other in lots of ways, but basically they're not going to be a significant factor in the election.
I mean, just going back
to Lib Dems, Lib Dems especially, they're going to be abysmal, won't they?
No, Lib Dems. I think, if I'm honest, Richard, I don't think they can take another embarrassment. You know, the Lib Dems. I think that they're on their way out as well, because people are seeing the whole sort of political class as being corrupt at this point. And this is what we're tapping into. Is this side? It's like mass psychology. They just think that the word politician is inextricably linked to corruption, and it's only because we've been taught that over the last 15 years, the SNP rule. That, I mean, they are scandal-proof, the SNP, absolutely scandal-proof. And what I mean by that is that once we've sort of unfurled and picked at the onion of one scandal, there's another one right underneath. And it's an everlasting onion, gobstopper, whatever you want to call it. It's just unending scandals. And the more you know, the worse it is. This is, it's... You're expected to take backhanders and stuff as politicians these days, and it's horrible. We're thinking about it in completely the wrong way. But just going back to the Tories specifically, remember the video that I made where I set my biology book on fire? There was people high up in the Tory party that knew I was doing that. They knew I was going to, and in fact, good luck with your book burning now, I think was the expression. And then as soon as I'd made it, produced a video, the very high upper echelons of the Tory party here in Scotland, they've seen the video and they said that's the most heinous thing I've ever seen. Terrible, absolutely terrible. And actually, it's an excellent video, and it makes my point. It's irrefutable almost, and it's just because they don't have the sort of, either have not got the political capital to spend making a risk like that, or, I mean, the risk could be in that they're thinking for themselves. Yeah, but the strategy is, the strategy is that there's a political spectrum, and the other parties take up this bit of it,
So that's just quite hard to look when you see yourself in the mirror. Anyway, again, in the political spectrum, they think if they can position themselves just very slightly to the right of the SNP and all the others basically, just very slightly, then they'll sweep up the rest of the spectrum because there's no alternative. So that's all they need to do. They just need to just about distinguish themselves from them. Anything more than that, then that's the wrong tactic. So it's partly that's their strategy, and partly the people actually in the party don't know what they believe, and lots of them could equally well switch to the Lib Dems, and they wouldn't notice. It would just be the same. I mean, so the Greens and the Lib Dems, I said that the Lib Dems could be in for. Are they putting a candidate up?
I've not seen any candidate as yet. I've seen that Alba aren't putting a candidate up, which is again similar type story to the Lib Dems. They cannot take another embarrassment. This is the thing. If Alba was to put a candidate up and get 50 votes per se, they're finished. They're done. I mean, they're a laughing stock. They're a total joke.
Yeah.
So they are being very cautious, I think, because they're trying to build up, but they can't afford another embarrassment like that. But and then it's all said we're not putting a candidate up because we didn't want to water down the independence vote. It's all tosh. They just can't take another embarrassment. And I think if the Lib Dems knew what's best for them, they wouldn't put a candidate up either.
Yeah. I mean, for the Greens, I'm just thinking of Shawnee Boy's famous video, Scottish Greens in the Scheme.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, look it up on YouTube, Scottish Greens in the Scheme. So there's a comedian impersonates the two Scottish Green leaders as though they're getting lost, and they find themselves in a housing scheme, and they really are lost.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what they were saying, that they've never been anywhere like that. They're just terrified. They're so out of place. They want to get back to comfortable, wealthy, sort of vegan artisan bakery land where they feel more comfortable. So again, I wouldn't have high hopes for the.
Well, I mean, you've seen what happened when Patrick Harvey was there. Somebody called him a deviant, like almost immediately, just a passerby. But I mean, if you look at the exchange, I mean, Richard, I think you'd probably be the same as me. You try to strike up a conversation with this person, and he's attacked you verbally, or really said something. But then that opens up the conversation, right? And then you can draw him in. Whereas Patrick Harvey's initial response is just bigot. His go-to catchphrase, he's a bigot. He's a bigot. And I just thought it was a very horrible exchange. More from Patrick Harvey's point of view. Because if you think about it, you should be well versed in dealing with the public, being a public figure like Patrick Harvey is. So if he can't deal with constituents like that on an everyday basis, then what's he actually doing at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because in Patrick Harvey's mind, that so beyond the pale. That's someone you can't try to talk to. But I've said before, I've said a few times, I've done some events with Patrick Harvey a few years ago, and he would not speak to me. Before the events, before the cameras were rolling, on one of them, I was sitting next to him on the stage. So I just tried to say hello and introduce myself. But he would not lift his head up to speak to you. Then the same at the end as well. He would not speak to me at all. So that's his attitude. If you don't agree with him, then you're not worth even engaging.
Not worthy of a conversation.
I think our video we've got from Perth Pride will show completely the opposite. Where there's others, it wasn't just me, it's others as well. We're getting called all sorts, but our response is constantly, "Do you want to come over and talk?" In our Dundee meeting, maybe a year or two ago now, maybe about a year ago, a fella came in being abusive and argumentative. So we just said to him, "Pull a chair up, let's have a chat," and he did, and we had a chat. Surely that's what you want, isn't it? Even if you have got someone who's starting off being out of order, surely your first line of defense is to try and bring them into some sort of sensible conversation. Patrick Harvey
certainly wasn't the way I would have handled the situation. Absolutely not. I would have said, "Well, you want to come and explain yourself right next to me on camera here." In fact, and instead, Patrick Harvey is straight away on the offensive.
Yeah.
Escalating the situation.
But I remember talking to Patrick Harvey once. I did an interview with him for a podcast. And I said to him, basically, people like you used to talk about tolerance a lot. I don't hear so much about tolerance anymore.
I
It
bet.
seems like now it's more about everyone needs to agree with me. And Patrick Harvey, he basically said, yes, it's not really about tolerance anymore. It's about equality, he said.
Yeah.
We've got to like enforce equality rather than tolerating different points of view. So, yeah.
It is, those who preach tolerance the most are in my personal opinion, and for what I've noticed, are the most intolerant people ever. The situation, I always try to get to the root of why people think my like the issue that's surrounding trans and why I'm incorrect. When we get to sort of suicide stats post operation from changing sex, or whatever we call it, operation, the stats of suicide increase. So I said, well, please explain this to me. And this is me having an argument with someone from the opposite view. And they said, well, it's because of people like you, Niall. That's why the suicide rates are so high. It's people like you, Niall. It's you that need to change because you're not accepting them. Yeah. I said, well, I mean, what if I'd never come in contact with a person in my life? And yet the suicide rate still increased. So, I mean, that's no factor in that equation at all. But it's generally the presumption from that side of the debate is that we have to change, Richard. It's our views are unacceptable. That it's us that are required to change and nothing else. Our mode of thinking is absolutely wrong.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Liam. Gloria Adibo is the Lib Dem candidate. Don't know anything about her. I can guess what she's like. I've met lots of Lib Dem candidates. She'll be very, very well spoken, and a really lovely person. But with Lib Dems, you just have to remember that they're the party of death. That they want doctors giving out poison to their patients.
Yeah.
And they want unborn children being killed right up to birth.
Well, I mean,
so don't be fooled by the lovely people.
Well, the Lib Dems is a wider party. I think the UK party took money from, puberty blocking manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies that manufacture those. So if they ever talk about puberty blockers or, this gender affirming care, just know that they've had money from an industry that serves that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of making a special leaflet about the party of death, particularly to use in Orkney. They've got a Lib Dem MP up there. So I think if we've got a good party of death leaflet circulating in Orkney, it might be good. Because again, the Lib Dem, they're always so nice. Always so nice. And it's just, we just have to remind people that, all there's not.
You're talking about the assisted suicide stuff that's coming along the way. Is that what you're talking about?
That's a Lib Dem MSP pushing that through. It's Lib Dem policy as well, as is abortion up to full term for any reason.
Absolutely.
So they're the party of death. They look like the party of social workers, but
I don't think they'd accept that moniker. The party of death. That's us. No, hello, Lib Dem here.
Well, we can make some placards and leaflets for them.
Yeah,
that'd be helpful. So that's to run through the parties. What other priority areas have you got?
I mean, a priority is, if you look at, the cost of living is on everyone's radar. Everyone will see every time you go to as does Tesco, Sainsbury's, whatever it is, you're seeing the prices rise. So we need to be talking about this again more. We need to have sort of, the solution does evade me. I think if you were to ask anyone who said they had a solution to this, they'd be lying if they told you that they've got an exact solution to the cost of living crisis, because it's almost like we can't print more money to then give it back because the inflation will spiral. We're almost in a catch-22 situation where the people on the bottom need help, but we almost can't afford to help them because so we're in a really quite a tentative area now. So I think, but we need to be doing more for food banks and stuff like that. People who are slipping under the net, because we know that the cost of living crisis is it's allowing people to fall through the net, and we need to be catching as many people as possible and try to thrust them back upward before they reach rock bottom, you know. But it's already quite a deprived area. So any sort of any more issues with the cost of living crisis, or if the prices keep rising, people's bills will soon outweigh all earnings. And it's an insurmountable problem at the moment, but we need to be thinking outside the box on this.
I always think basically the government can't have a solution. They've spent too much money, they've printed too much money, they've landed us in a total mess, and as you say, there's no easy way out of it.
No.
They should be reflecting back and saying, wow, we've made a total mess of this. But they won't, because the Conservative government, the SNP and Labour, they all would have been pursuing the same policies and that have landed in this mess. So that's not going to happen. But I think in that situation, then your community groups, community spirits, whatever, needs to come to the fore.
Yeah.
So that's where I think, again, an MP can be a crucial figure.
Yeah, well, I mean,
inspire people to get involved in supporting each other, in local activity, local.
We sort of reignite community spirit. I mean, it's hard, obviously. I mean, it's a very tough thing to do in this era of social media, but it's sort of reignite legitimate communities, communities. I mean, the community doesn't exist online on your phone. Doesn't exist. It's in the flesh, at the town hall, at meetings, speaking your mind in the flesh, you know, not via video link. We need to get away from the technology and more towards communities. And if a person can engender and foster community like that, then they're going to be invaluable, you know, all across the globe, you know. I hope to do more of that, but it's a very difficult thing to do, you know.
Yeah, I think what the electorate have got with you, they've got the option for someone who sort of genuinely loves the area. Because with a lot of areas that are tough, they've got their problems. A lot of people in them, their ambition is to get out of them. It's not to sort it out, it's to get out. And I would imagine the other candidates as well, even if they might have roots in some of these more difficult areas, their ambition's been to get out, and they probably have got out as well. But that's part of the problem, I think, with some areas, is they don't have the people who are committed and invested in them for the long term. The sort of people who you need to really build something up in a community.
What the constituents are going to get for me is somebody that's not going to immediately move out of the area as soon as they're elected and never be seen again. I'll still be living in Burbank. In fact, I'll probably live there more than anywhere else. I love the place. I mean, the last thing I want to do is be elected and then forgotten about. You know, I want to be working day one, and I want to be seen to be working day one and day two and day three, and every single day, like the clappers, because there's so many problems. That's what the people are crying out for action. You know, there's I think a school in Castlemilk, which is in the area, that just went full LGBT, and this is a primary school. So I mean, the full guidance. I think people the parents of Rutherglen and Hamilton West really need to fully understand what their kids have been taught. I mean, we are having to go to the extremes when we're even canvassing, Richard, you know, because we're not like any other party. We don't just thrust things through your door. We need to be conscious of who's behind the door. So if there's any, I mean, we're going to be telling people, look, this is what's being taught in the schools, but we can't just have the leaflet come through your door. We need to put it in a sealed envelope so that the parents can open it, because but this is what's been taught in schools. This is the sort of the weird paradigm that we're in, where we could probably be called up and abused for putting stuff through people's doors, alarming, alerting the person behind the door to what's been taught in the schools, and then we would take the punishment for it. Yeah, it's such a strange situation, but. Well, this is why it's so so important that we sort of boil it down to it's us versus the machine. There's two candidates, and if you want the machine to win, go ahead, let the machine win. But you know, if you want somebody that's real, that's flesh and blood, that'll fight your corner until I die, then it's me. Reject the machine.
Yeah,
that's all. I mean, it's as simple as that to me. But obviously, inherently, the priorities of my constituents are my priority, if you know what I mean. I want to take them as a mantle and fix what's going wrong.
Yeah,
and the schooling's a big part of that, because most of the parents coming back to me now are saying the schools are wild, mental, and they need to be addressed instantly. The fact that they've not been addressed already is a sin. It's a sin. And there's kids going to school in fear. There's parents sending their kids to school in fear. This shouldn't happen in Scotland, and it will not happen in Rutherglen and Hamilton West.
No, I'm looking forward to going knocking on doors. I think what we'll try and do when we've got a few people going knocking on doors, delivering leaflets, is we'll have people knocking on the doors, and then if you get a reply, then you'll be lurking in the street. We'll say, "All right, here he is. Here's Niall. Meet Niall." I'm looking forward to introducing you to as many people as possible in the constituency. I know you're going to be doing a lot of campaigning as well. Just to explain, Royal Mail do a free leaflet delivery for us in this election campaign. So we'll have a leaflet going through every door in the constituency. We've got that more or less designed. Niall's just going to do a video, and then we're going to put a QR code for that.
Yeah.
And that is ready to go. We're going to have a stall in the street in Rutherglen, every Wednesday and Friday. So we'll publish details of that. There'll be lots of opportunities to come along and help in the campaign. But the time we most need you, we would most like to see you, is 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. This Saturday coming in front of the old parish church in Rutherglen, in front of the old parish church in Rutherglen. If you could be there at 11 o'clock sharp, that would be brilliant. We'll maybe have a stall, do some leafleting afterwards. But if you were there at the beginning, so you can get some good pictures, then that would be fantastic. So if you're anywhere near, or even if you're not anywhere near, if you could come along and support Niall, then I say we would love to see you. We'll grab blood somewhere as well later in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I'll be doing some campaigning. So if you can possibly make that, do come along.
I'll put a public call for people to come out on Twitter. So that's the best place to get me there now. That's where I'll be using as a sort of a digital social media mega blaster. That's where I'll be throwing all the information. Any campaign videos that I'll put out will be going straight to Twitter. And you can, this QR code you're talking about, I'm going to make a full campaign speech so people know exactly who I am, what I'm about, and what I'm offering. And it'll be, like you said, Royal Mail's done us a huge turn, and they'll be gone through 50,000 doors or plus, So really, it's all to play for in this election. I think the political climate it's just ripe enough where a new party can come from zero to winning, and I think we've given ourselves a great launching platform. So the campaign starts officially Saturday. Like Richard's saying, if anyone's in the area, if you want to come and support us, please do. I mean, let's go canvass together. Let's make this a huge, big community event. We could walk.
If anyone's in the country.
Well, I mean, please do come. So it's 11 outside the old parish church. It's right across the spire. You can't miss it. 11 o'clock on Saturday. I mean, then I'm going to be going. I'll be in the constituency basically every day from then campaigning. We've got street stalls Wednesday, Fridays, so they can come and talk to me directly there. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be quite a stressful situation. Obviously, you get all the political attacks when you sort of enter the fray, as it were. But we're ready to give as good as we get, Richard.
Yeah. We're going to throw everything at this campaign. There's going to be a lot of attention on it, UK wide as well as in Scotland. So there'll be opportunities to get in the media. Hopefully there'll be hustings events. So we'll get Niall at an event discussing things with other candidates. You're looking forward to that? I mean, if we live stream that's something not to be missed, isn't it? And so there's really going to be fireworks. We've got other things as well. We've got our PA system, so we might go around
in a vehicle, maybe,
high streets, and give a little speech here and there. The other thing as well, I think people who've researched politics and elections, they generally think, okay, getting a leaflet through a door, okay, that's good, but it doesn't make that much difference. You need, say, 2 leaflets, 3 leaflets, and meet someone. That's when things start really shifting. So we're going to make a huge effort to actually meet as many people as we can, face to face, and have that little chat, and start off from wherever they are, and lead them in our direction. And as Niall was saying, particularly those people who say, "Oh yeah, well, I've given up on all of them. They're all as bad as each other. They're all hopeless." Or as some people say, "Oh yeah, the last thing we need is a new party." Well, you say, well, if you think they're all bad, surely the first thing we need is a new party. That's exactly what we do need if they're all no good. So yeah, we'll be trying everything. And the other candidates, where they're having campaign events, we'll try and get in on the act on that one way or another.
Yes, absolutely.
So wherever the media are, we'll try to be there as well.
I mean, I'm sure people are dying for me to have a conversation with Patrick Harvey or say any other candidate. This would actually be good for the campaign as well, to see 2 candidates having a conversation. It would be great for everyone if we can manage to get hustings with all the other candidates. That would be be perfect, and we'd probably be doing a disservice to the people in Rutherglen and Hamilton West if we didn't have a hustings, because they deserve to know what their candidate's going to do for them, and to hear it come out of their lips and no Anis Sarwar or Keir Starmer.
Yeah, but hopefully there'll be multiple hustings. And I say there's going to be a lot of media attention. We've got some other things up our sleeve, as usual. The Scottish Family Party, we're not renowned for sitting back and waiting to see what happens. We're renowned for having our own ways of getting attention and making stories.
Adventurousness, yes. Our out-of-the-box thinking, as it were. Because this is what we need to do. If the media will not give us the time of day, we will just go out and orchestrate things and do it ourselves, Richard. There's nothing stopping the progress. Nothing. We're like, we've rolled the snowball downhill. It's gathering momentum. It'll start with Rutherglen and Hamilton West, and then we'll roll the ball right across Scotland, and we'll have Scottish Family Party MSPs right across Scotland, and we'll fix it one by one. That's the only way we're going to do it, and it needs to be done more than anything. This is why I'm standing up in the first place. It's know that if there was somebody else, of course, I would love there to be somebody else doing and saying what I'm doing. I would love it, because then it wouldn't have to be me, But unfortunately, needs must. And the lack of any sort of person standing up and doing the things that we're doing, Richard, I have to do it. And
absolutely. Yeah, I think this by-election. Yeah, this by-election is a bit of a godsend for us. It's just the right time. We need something to get our teeth into, and we've got the right man in the right place to fight it. So it's a big opportunity for us. You might be wondering, when is the election? And the answer is we don't know yet. The election hasn't actually... it is going to be called, but it hasn't officially been...
The provisional dates that have been sort of given is like the 5th or the 12th of October. That'll be when the official casting days are. But we've basically got the full month of September to campaign. So I'll be living on a street stall in Rutherglen, Hamilton West for September. I'll be under the tarpaulin, under the table, living there like a vagrant for a month.
Yeah, we're going to campaign like never before. Very intensive. So I say, more help, the better. If you've never been involved in campaigning before, just come along. I mean, even if you're going to knock on a door, and if someone doesn't answer, okay, try the next door. If someone does answer, say, "Oh, can I introduce you to Niall? He's just here." And then, so I mean, that's all it could need. Going around knocking on doors, or putting leaflets through letterboxes, or whatever. So
just a couple of mentions in the paper would go a long way as well, Richard. I think a lot of people are not on social media. We're sort of social media animals, where that's sort of our domain. But we need to be fully understanding that that's not people's domain. People don't even enter there. So we need to be getting people on multiple fronts, at the door, through the letterbox, online, in person, in the paper, bombarding people with the fact that we exist. and we're here to correct things for the good. That's number one thing is people need to know we exist. And this is what we're going to make a huge mark in Rutherglen. Huge.
Yeah. So if you're in Rutherglen or Hamilton West, expect to see us. Expect to see family party representatives one way or another. Unless you're like Hideaway and don't answer the door for the next month, expect to come across us. So yeah, that's great. So we're looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you on Saturday morning. We'll put that call out more widely. Let's get things off to a good start, and then the real work begins. Politics is hard work. There's no magic bullet. We've got lots of good ideas, but at the end of the day, it's boots on the ground, putting the hours in. That's probably the most important thing. Yeah,
that's what's going to win us this. And just if I can just touch upon my other point I made earlier on, is that the only thing we need to do is believe that it's possible to defeat this corruption. We need to first believe that it is possible to defeat this corruption. Otherwise, we're just lost. We need to believe that we've got the ability to win back Scotland for us, the people. And this is our platform that we're standing on. And I think we're going to make it, Richard.
Yeah.
And if not, we've tried.
Yeah, well, I think there's all sorts of positive results that could come out of it. There's a whole host of positive results, and I'm pretty confident we're going to get a good few of them that we'll be able to celebrate after it. Certainly, I would hope we get our best ever results in a constituency, beating other parties. Let's see. I mean, we've beaten the Lib Dems in lots of council wards. We've beaten the Greens in lots of council wards. I think we might do well. We've certainly beaten Alba in loads and loads of them. So let's see what other scalps we can have. But I think it's unpredictable as well. How inspired are the people going to be to vote? I think the turnout could end up being pretty low.
Yeah.
In this, so there's opportunities galore, and I think the campaign is going to be eventful as well.
Yes, I think it's already been eventful, and now that now that I've officially been added to the race, now it's really going to get eventful, Richard. So, and we'll make it so. So, I mean, if anything, it's going to be one, entertaining, two, exciting, and there's definitely going to be news about this election. So, now that I've been added to the race, it's definitely it's like a kick of chili on your on something,
Yeah. So we've got some messages. All the very best.
Thanks very much, right, Lisa.
Then we've got a spelling correction. We knew who you meant. Right, thank you. Great to see a breakthrough. Yep, absolutely.
Thanks very much.
Raymond, good to hear from you. Yeah, Raymond, if you fancy coming over for a bit of campaigning, Raymond's over in Northern Ireland. We came and helped in the council elections. Did a fantastic job around in my ward here. So Raymond, if you fancy coming over for a few days to that area, that would be brilliant.
Or the coming weeks as well, doesn't it? It'll be just that week. We'll be there. So
get
in touch and come across.
Yeah, but bring a pal or two as well.
From zero to hero, hopefully. All we need is a bit of belief, Ansel, man.
Yeah.
Belief.
Gareth, yep. School. I mean, it's quite just routine. Talk to virtually anyone in any capacity in a school, and it's just horror stories of what's going on. Right, Hugh. Thank you very much. Yes, good one. Yeah, the machine. Rage against the machine. Yeah.
A lot of great comments tonight. Thanks very much for your support, folks. It's been fantastic.
So Hugh moved out of Scotland because he couldn't bear to send his children to school in Scotland.
He's quite right. I mean, the amount of parents that say they need to either take their kids out of school or homeschool them is just growing and growing. It's not conducive to learning this country anymore. Yeah.
I think that's a good point. America has the American dream. What does Scotland have?
Well,
that's
we've got nothing. It's like a nightmare. It's not the Scottish nightmare. But let's sort of cut through the nightmare. Let's defeat Freddy Krueger and just get on with it. And because effectively we can do anything we want here in Scotland. The only limit is our imagination.
Yeah,
that's it.
The Scottish dream presented by the sort of Labour and the SNP, or the others too, is basically what will give you more stuff.
Yeah,
you may be in a mess, but we'll give you more and more stuff, and then you'll be okay.
You can have a lifetime on benefits, and you can achieve nothing. But go ahead. It's not great at all. The offering isn't there, but I do like the sentiment what Hugh's saying there. We need some sort of it's this aspiration to what here in Scotland, and there is that lack of sort of something to achieve,
Yeah, but thinking about saying about these communities in the constituency, you've got a lot of problems. I suppose the SNP and Labour, that their sort of message is, we can come and spend lots of money to try and sort these things out. Conservatives' message, I don't think they really got one for that sort of area. But then the message has got to be, to bring the people together in the area, to inspire them to see a vision of it being better, that they invest in themselves.
Yes.
Rather than just, who's going to do it for us? We're no good. We need someone else to do it for us. Mm-hmm. No, the people there on the ground. Really
and if we could manage that, if we could inspire others to do that, then our job is done, right? Our job would be done. And this is what we're hoping to do, is just inspire people out of the apathy that they've got for the whole political system. Inspire them out of this apathetical hole that they're in. So, and one, it would give you a wee bit of fulfillment. It would give something to look forward to. No longer do you have to look at the news or the Scottish Parliament and just despair every day. It would be good to hear, someone from a working class background in, Westminster, just telling it like it is, from the working person's perspective,
Yeah. How about that? You heard that one before?
I've heard that one before. I'm not going to go mad and chop my lobe off, but I've actually, interestingly enough, I've been to his. I think he died in an asylum in the south of France, near Arles. I've been to his where he painted the wheat fields.
Okay.
But interesting character of Van Gogh.
My wife went to the Van Gogh Museum in, is it The Hague or Amsterdam? The other year. I'm not particularly autistic, so I didn't go. So I didn't learn too much there. So we heard about the Lib Dem candidate. Oh, we're just about at 9 o'clock. That's absolutely true. Or as my friend puts it, we'll have half a pint of what they're having. So it's always going in the same direction, but just slightly different, just so people can just about tell the difference.
Yeah.
Just so they can, so they don't have to quite parrot exactly the same lines in the hustings. But it's not good enough. It's constant retreat.
Thanks very much, Dominic. It's a shame you didn't live there. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will come across. I mean, I've already spoke to a lot of voters in Rutherglen that they want to vote. They want to vote, but they just don't know who, because they're all looking at Labour, SNP, Lib Dems, the Greens, the Tories. They're all looking at them as if they're all the same. And this is where actually we've got a really big chance to actually make a dent in the politics in Scotland here. A really big dent. We could cause a crater here.
Well, John in his fine sweatshirt, a hoodie rather. Right, John, we kept our best tactics under wraps, don't worry. John, hope to see you.
No, we've got super secret projects, John. Only Richard and I know the plans.
Yeah, and you can count on us when it comes to a few plans and fireworks. Right, thanks for your comments, and hopefully see quite a few of you on Saturday. And Niall, best of luck. Looking forward to working with you. And,
it's going to be a blast.
Getting the show on the road.
Yeah.
And
well, it's good to finally shoot the starting pistol, Richard. Thanks for that. It's finally good to start off. That's a start. We're just at a leisurely pace now, but as we we're going to gain pace, and we're going to be in a full-on gallop very shortly.
Yeah, there's going to be stories to tell by the end of this.
Yes, indeed.
Right, thanks, Niall. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.